first start with how you got into blockchain? Because I know you've had an exciting career path.
Yeah, so I've been in the blockchain space over 10 years and I got started, I guess I should say accidentally because I met a woman in Scotland and I had no, um, I would say no interest in crypto or Bitcoin or anything like that until I started talking with her. And then I became curious. So one thing led to another. And as I realized that the technology was a lot broader than just the cryptocurrency side, I started to try to investigate what the technology really was. And so that kind of led me down everything that I'm doing from, talk shows to being an author to creating the Blockchain Legal Institute as a resource for people. So, and I see I've always been interested in science and technology. My major was that in college. So when I learned about blockchain, it just felt kind of natural as understanding the evolution of technology.
Okay, so what was it about when you met this woman? Did you just randomly meet her? I'm
Well,
curious.
no, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and so I actually was in the travel business. I mean, my background's law, so I am a practicing attorney, but I always loved to travel. So I figured, okay, if I'm going to travel, how can I do it wholesale? So I became a certified travel consultant because I figured, okay, that makes sense. So no, I was traveling and I met her, and one thing led to another in terms of conversations and just, common interests and things like that. So that's how we connected.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then what was it about blockchain that hooked you? I always like to ask that question because when I first heard about it, I was a little confused. The first thing I heard about was Bitcoin, and then it took actually a few years before it hit me.
Well, as I mentioned, my major was science, technology, and society. So I knew that technology is evolving and there were certain needs that we had that weren't being met by the current technology. And actually, as I did my research and met people like Dr. Scott Sternetta, blockchain has been around for over 34 years. And he actually created it way before Bitcoin, a working protocol. So, again, it's the idea that technology could be used, but sometimes the industry doesn't know how to use it at the time that exists. And then, you know, other things catch up to it. So for me, it just, I've always been intrigued with what we're doing technology wise and how does it make a better quality of life.
Okay, so then how did Crypto Mom come to be?
So it's CryptoMom2 because Commissioner Peirce is CryptoMom1. And I have interviewed her on our global summits. Um, I had heard about her and I knew that the media had tagged her as CryptoMom. I didn't want to step on her toes. So I said, okay, I'll be CryptoMom2. And it came about because I am a single parent and it just made sense to me that as a pseudonym, I would be Crypto Mom. But it was from the perspective that I was investing in altcoins or in Bitcoin. And that was sort of as I was starting to learn more about the underlying technology. So, again, what you learn first sometimes is not the tech side. You learn about it from the media. And so you learn about crypto and Bitcoin and that type of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I first heard about it through my cousin. When I thought he was doing something illegal. So I didn't know what it was because it was Bitcoin before, wallets or anything like that. And so I was skeptical. But yeah, so that's really interesting. Okay, so Crypto Mom 2 is because it's Crypto Mom first, the first Crypto Mom.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're talking about being a single mom. So how has blockchain impacted you and how you think about being a mom?
So, I've always been non-traditional, and I've always uh, I guess the blockchain world is also very non-traditional from the perspective that the underlying philosophy is, at least part of it is dealing with economic freedom of individuals. And so, being a parent, I also want to kind of be a good role model for her. And I've always shared with her, follow your passion. And if you don't like what you're doing, then change it. And sometimes she takes that advice, and then I have to realize, well, I did give it to her. So, so yeah. So again, I guess being in the blockchain space has it constantly reminded me of the need to foster creativity and support others with their dreams, even if some of those dreams might seem like they're not achievable, but you never know because, again, that's the beauty of our space. If someone has an idea and is able to manifest it, then that's how the airplanes came about. So, yeah.
So, how did the Blockchain Legal Institute come to be? And can you talk a bit about when it started and where you are now?
Yeah, so the Blockchain Legal Institute is not a law firm. It's actually a centralized library of decentralized resources. And um, I guess I'll take a step back or two because I'm also the author of the Bitcoin Cinderella Blockchain Adventure Series. And I guess it was around 3 years ago that CleanSpark had sponsored the giveaway of my book, my second book, because I've written four so far, The Bitcoin Cinderella and The Seven Dwarves. And as I was standing at the booth giving the book away, a young attorney came up. She asked for help. And I said, of course, I'm happy to help you learn more about the space and what's going on. And as she walked away, I turned to my co-founder. He was my associate back then. Now he's my co-founder. And I said, there's no library of resources. It's going to be really hard for her to catch up with how fast the technology is changing. And I want to create it. So we sat down and did a 2-month little mini hackathon of our own on our website and our platform. And it's an evolving space. We have virtual events, virtual global summits, international, as well as a publication side. We have a news side. A lot of things are, we have a hackathon going on right now with $32,000 of bounties from Constellation Story and ICP. A lot of things happening to support the vocabulary development, professional development, and just consumer education.
And I assume this is something that is constantly being updated.
Yeah,
Because it seems like things change almost every day. So it is a lot to keep,
It
to
it
keep up
it
with.
is it is a lot, but we also have interns that are working with us, or volunteering rather, through the University of California school system, all 9 campuses, and then also locally in the Maryland area. So we have a lot of great support for both updating as well as supporting our overall goal of education.
Okay. And I did have a question about, I know you do a lot in Maryland and you're in the Washington, D.C. area. And I think I'm going to see you probably somewhere this week.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And can you talk a bit about Maryland?
Yeah. So because I live in Maryland, I was asked to start the Maryland Blockchain Association, and the association got started last year, and it's growing very fast. We've also launched a statewide task force on blockchain and innovative tech. We have over 60 individuals, both from the Senate and the delegate House side of the Maryland General Assembly, who are part of it, as well as different government agencies as well as different applications. And the purpose is to foster a growing environment to support those that are in our community, to let people know about the products and services that they can use. And at the same time, educate new people that are curious about it. So we also have relationships with like Morgan State University, Capital Technology University, and University of Maryland Blockchain Accelerator Program, and a lot of others. And just there's exciting things happening in my backyard, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Okay. So if someone is in Maryland and they want to learn more, they should definitely find you. And as far as the Blockchain Legal Institute, is that for anyone or is it okay?
Yeah, no, the Institute really, we are, whether, it doesn't matter whether we're a lawyer or not, we're all impacted by laws. And the fact that I can't stake in Maryland, I'm impacted by a law. So, and it is a global entity. We at our last global summit, which was just last week, we had the former ambassador of El Salvador was our keynote. We've had the premier of Bermuda, the president of Liberland, and really, it's all about we're all consumers. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether we buy a domain name or, and build a business or buy crypto or just start a business, we're all impacted by the law. And that's what the Legal Institute is to kind of keep us up to date as to what's going on in our world.
What are some things that you've noticed that are strange? Actually, I didn't know about that, and that you cannot stake in Maryland. So, so if you're in, let's say we're in Nebraska, can they come to you and maybe find some up-to-date information or how, I mean, some people might not know that they're breaking
It's
the law.
well, again,
Yeah.
the the pages are constantly being updated, but there's always a need for new updates. But if someone is a member of the association or the institute rather, and they have a specific question, as long as it's not a legal question, which would require my putting on my law hat, but if it's a general compliance question as to what's the law in my state, then and if it's not on the library yet, then we'll do the research and share back. So our goal is to be librarians, to foster and have people ask us questions so we can do that research, because then we can update various our social media as well as the library itself.
Okay, so what advice would you have for someone who is just getting into blockchain or just hearing about crypto? What's the first thing that they should do?
Well, I guess I would say that there's probably three things to understand that cryptocurrency is built on a blockchain, but blockchain has more applications than just cryptocurrency. It's used in supply chain, it's used in business to provide information back and forth. So to understand that there's two different paths, even though cryptocurrency and tokens are built on blockchain, but the use of it might be different. So, and then the second is, and if you are going to be, and again, not legal advice, not investment advice, that type of thing, but if you're going to be investing, do your research, whether it's on BLI or other, and make sure that you have multiple sources sharing back the same information with you. And, like if you are deciding that you want to, I'll go down the crypto path, invest, then make sure that you understand what it is you can lose. Because aside from Bitcoin, and I am a Bitcoin miner, with the altcoins, it's there's a lot of things that happen that influence the market. So, the swings can be high and they can be low, and you can lose a lot. On the blockchain technology side, if you have an idea for a project, you also need to do your investigation because not every protocol is geared for the project that you want to build on. And if a protocol is also impacted by the market conditions, then it might be hard for you to budget down the road because the cost of using that protocol might be really expensive and it might help budget you. So you really have to, it's a great technology, but you have to find the right piece that works for the project that you want. And, our community is very welcoming. The people are willing to share information. And so, definitely reach out, ask your questions. We're None of us are too much of an expert to know that we don't know and that we need to continue to learn. So this is one of the books, The Bitcoin Cinderella, and I've written four, but the fourth one is actually about Bermuda. It's called the Bitcoin Cinderella Pink Sands Treasure of Bermuda. So there's four altogether, and each one stands alone in terms of the adventure that Cinderella has around the community. But the other book that I think is really important, actually, just because of being an attorney, a mom, and someone that's concerned for everyone who might buy crypto, is the Essential Digital Asset Organizers for Attorneys and Their Clients. It's actually a book that you can write in and make copies of. And the reason why I did this is because my daughter, she's 29, um, really had no interest in my wallets. Now, anyone who's listening, I don't have a lot, but still, it's the idea that she wouldn't know where my Square account was or the email. Our digital assets are not just Bitcoin or NFTs, they're also our social media accounts. And her first inclination is to shut down credit cards. Well, if you do that, you shut down my website. You can't track and trace, where, like on Anchor or, the Amazon, everything is so interconnected. So really, this is an addendum to our wills, but which, again, these are things we don't want to talk about, but it's really important that we have a way for our family to know what's online. Otherwise, it stays online forever.
And this is a topic that comes up a lot, like really often, and especially with moms.
Yeah.
And because, well, I'm not a mom, but like I feel like once sometimes like I'm like, you worry about that because then it's all this, work and information that could disappear. So I think that's really important. Yeah.
It could be your significant other, but it could also be your co-founder in your business that needs to know, like what happens if there is a temporary disconnect with you and what you're doing business wise. You want to have a continuity. And a lot of times we forget about that. We keep thinking, oh yeah, we're all going to be connected. Well, that's not always the case.
Thank you for sharing all of this. So, how can people find you and find the Legal Institute? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So the Blockchain Legal Institute is www.bli.tools. And the Maryland Blockchain Association is just like you hear it, Maryland Blockchain Association. So either way, yeah, I'm on LinkedIn and other socials, so you definitely can follow me and see the posts and reach back out and, join the community. We would love to have you and support you.